Hi, so today we're going to read solubility curves. Excuse me. Now what we're doing is comparing temperature to how many grams of solute per 100 grams of H2O. So if we have 100 grams of H2O, which is 100 milliliters, that's about 3.5 ounces roughly. So how many grams of solute or the crystals can dissolve in that? As you can see, most of them increase over time. You can see most of the curves are going up. As the temperature increases, it can dissolve more and more. There is one exception right here. Cesium sulfate is actually declining with higher temperatures. So for this one, if you heat it, it would actually dissolve less solute. Now this is the saturated line. So anything that's under the line is unsaturated. Anything that's over the line is and anything that is over the line is supersaturated. So what we're looking for is to try and match up at what temperature will these be sat and at what quantity of solute will these be saturated. So let's take a look at 30 degrees. 30 degrees is a little over room temperature. What if we said at what temperature will NaNO3, excuse me, how many grams will NaNO3 be saturated if at 30 degrees Celsius? So we go to the 30 degrees and we go up till we match the NaNO3 line, which is right here. I'm just going to highlight it. And if you want, when you're doing this, feel free to print out this page or this picture, and you could actually draw on it. So what you do is you start at the temperature here and you go up, up, and when you hit the line, you make a right angle turn towards the y-axis. So you start at one axis and you go to meet the other axis. So what we're seeing here is at 30 degrees Celsius, you could dissolve about 96 grams of NaNO3 in 100 grams of water. And it would dissolve, and that would be a perfectly saturated solution. If I said to you, I dissolved 80 grams of NaNO3 in 30 degrees Celsius water, we would call that unsaturated because it's below the line. Let's say I dissolved 120 grams of NaNO3 in 100 grams of water at 30 degrees Celsius. We would call that supersaturated. So for it to be perfectly saturated, it would be about 96 or 95. Now, your activity today is a drag and drop, so you have to type in the perfect number. You just have to match up the ones that are there. So it shouldn't be too bad for you. All right. What if we want to know? What if we want to know which compounds have the most solubility and the least solubility at certain temperatures? So we could check. We would say which compound is the least soluble at 50 degrees. So here's 50 degrees. We would go up till we hit the first line, and the first line is cesium sulfate. So cesium sulfate has the lowest solubility at 50 degrees. What if we wanted to know what the highest solubility was? What is the highest solubility at 20 degrees? Here's the 20 degrees. We would go up the line until we hit the highest line right here, and that's potassium iodide. At 20 degrees, what is the least soluble? The first line we hit is this line. That's potassium chlorate. So at 20 degrees, potassium chlorate is the least soluble. So there's different values here that you would be looking for. But the idea is, for the most part, you're going to find a temperature, and you're going to start with a temperature on the x-axis, and then you're going to move up to an appropriate value there. Let's look at another type of question. Okay? What if I asked you at what temperature, or excuse me, what if I asked you at 60 degrees Celsius, how much solute can dissolve into 100 grams of water? And then I'm going to name it. So let's pick KNO3. Okay? I want to know at 60 degrees how much KNO3 can dissolve in 100 grams of water. So I'm going to go from the line 60. I'm going to go till I meet up with the KNO3 curve, which is right here. That's where it meets up. Then, like I said, I make a right angle and I turn towards the y-axis, and I see that it would be about, I'm going to go with 104 perhaps. At 6 degrees, at 60 degrees, I could dissolve 104 grams of KNO3 into this. Let's try another one. At 90 degrees, how much ammonium chloride could I dissolve? This is ammonium chloride. So here's the line, the curve I'm trying to match. I'm going to go 90 degrees until I line up with that curve. I'm going to hit the line and I'm going to turn towards the y-axis. And I see at 90 degrees, I can dissolve 70 grams of NH4Cl to saturate that solution. So you want to always compare these bottom numbers to the lines. Make sure you match up the correct thing. Now you don't have to know the names of these because I'm using their formulas.